Why did it take this long to get rid of Michael? Michael should have been the first one out the door. Y'all really let Michael stick around. I understand why the traitors wanted him there. Because he created a distraction and they got to hide in the corners. And, he's pretty much doing half the work so they don't have to pretend that they're not lying and deceiving. But Faithfuls, why? Why did y'all let this man stick around this long? Anyway, hey, it's Pinky. Welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be talking about Traitors Season 4, Episode 5. So if you'd like to see more, then just stay tuned. But before we begin, I would like for everyone to check out my website, thevideorosastyle.com, where you can find cute accessories like the ones I'm wearing right now, handmade by your girl. Check out that link down below. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this review. The episode opens with breakfast. We have Rob walking in his signature overalls. If y'all have not seen Love Island, this is literally his uniform. This is what he wore on the island. Overalls with no shirt showing off his snake tattoos. And the girls went crazy over it for whatever reason. Now, Rob is handsome, but he used to get on my last nerve wearing these overalls every other day. I can't believe he brought them to the Traitors in Scotland. I guess it is kind of iconic for him to wear them because that's like his signature look. But I'm just like, really? When the first group of Faithfuls walked in, Dorinda, she doesn't understand why Ron is so standoffish. She's tried to make an effort to get to know him, ask about his family, different things like that, and he's just very closed off. And even when Ron walks in, Ron was one of the people up for murder last night. Half of the people thinks he's a traitor, right? And it's very palpable. Like, they made it known that Ron is kind of a loner. He doesn't really talk to people until he gets to the round table, and that's when he wants to reveal all. I just wanted to add that it makes sense why Ron is keeping to himself, because he has been ostracized ever since that whole situation that happened with Portia, which really anybody would have put two and two together and thought that she was a traitor based off of the evidence that he had. And also, he's not the only person that has made mistakes as far as getting a Faithful sent home, Colton, and he did not get this type of treatment. I'm walking in the room after possibly being murdered and barely anybody is clapping. Like, what's the whole reason for them to be treating him like that? I have a good guess, but we'll talk more about that later. And then we have Colton walking in, and he is just so full of it. He's so insufferable. Despite being the loudest and wrongest person from the last round table, you sat up there and got one of y'all's best Faithfuls eliminated. She wasn't even thought about to be eliminated until he brought it up at the round table. And he still has the nerve to walk in that room cocky. Somebody should have shut him all the way down and accused him of being a traitor on top of that. So then we finally got the reveal that Monet was the one who was murdered that night, because Candace let Lisa know last episode that Monet was onto her, that he knew that she was a traitor. But like I said, at this point, why are all the black people leaving? Like, y'all, like, legitimately, if Ron is eliminated, that's all the black people except for Candace. And the only reason why Candace is still there is because she's a traitor. Like, what's going on here? Like, I'm sorry, I cannot ignore that. That is not something I'm just gonna brush off. Like, I'm like, every time we turn on an episode, it's a black person going home. I also wanted to reiterate from my last video that slowly but surely, all of Candace's allies that she might have had in this game are being eliminated. And yes, she did play a hand in this one, but partially this is her fault, because why did you run back and tell Lisa? Like, I get you're being loyal to the traitors and you're trying to keep the traitors intact and y'all are working together, but you're going to lose all of your allies trying to protect those two, Rob and Lisa. And I don't think they would do the same thing for you. In fact, I feel like they would team up against you. So I didn't think it was a good idea for Candace to run back and tell Lisa that, because now Portia, Tiffany, Monet, Robsy are now gone. And those are people that would have vouched for her and would have protected her at that round table. Now, I don't think a lot of people suspect her as a traitor, but they also aren't close allies of Candace, because most of those people are gone. So
I'm worried. I'm really worried.
Lisa is realizing that now they need to start putting targets on other people, and she decides to jump on the train of let's get rid of Ron. So her and Candace, they're having a conversation talking about how he tries to put a bullseye on Mara the same way that he did with Portia. Michael and Kristen, especially Kristen this episode, she's very solidified. She for sure thinks Colton is a traitor, for sure. She's got her eye zeroed in on him, and she feels if she leaves, that Colton is the one that did it. Here comes Ron with his bright ideas. This is when he really starts getting on my nerves. You just had your finger pointed at Mara. Now all of a sudden he's stuck on the idea that Michael and Dorinda are traitors. And he said it directly to her face. He said to Dorinda's face, I feel like you're a traitor. Like, he just sat her down, confronted her, and she handled it very well. But I'm just like, where is your reasoning? Why? Why do you think that? So the next mission happens, and honestly, the only thing that matters here is there were shields. If no one takes a shield during this challenge, then everybody is safe from murder. The traitors don't like this. They would love for someone to take a shield because they want to get rid of as many people as possible. But the only thing is, production is not telling them whether or not someone took a shield. The team with Michael, Natalie, Dorinda, and the ice skater, I forgot his name, they found a plot with 4 shields in it. And I don't believe for one second not one of them took a shield. I don't believe it. Mind you, Natalie is the most faithful of the faithfuls. She's a traitor hunter. Even she was like, we don't know for a fact nobody else took a shield. And all 4 of us would get one too. Like, she was really making a good case. And Dorinda was looking real shifty, like, I really could use a shield. She went home first last season. She ain't trying to get murdered, right? So I personally feel like they definitely took a shield. But at the end of the mission, it wasn't revealed. They don't know if someone took a shield or who, if someone did. I definitely would have took one though. I ain't gonna lie, I would have took one and wouldn't even thought twice about it. Because how am I supposed to know if no one else is gonna take one? Even if I'm not someone who is, been targeted and looked at. You saw what happened to Tiffany at the last roundtable. It really could be anybody. So then back at the castle, Colton immediately argues that Michael has to be a traitor. Because everybody that has voted for Michael at the roundtable, everybody has gone except for Jam Jam. Jam's the only person that voted for him that's still in the game. That's the first probably little bit of a logical thing that he's come up with. Then Colton asks Michael, does Alan wear the same outfit that he wears in front of us in the turret? And it kind of throws Michael off. You could tell he's like, it's kind of taking it as a joke at first, but then he realizes he's really being persecuted by Colton right now. And you know how last episode he was all calm and demure because Tiffany told him to act right. Mind you, something just hit me. If Tiffany would have never told him to chill out and stop doing all that extra stuff, she probably would still be here. People probably would have targeted him last time, and she probably wouldn't have went home, child. Anyway, once Colton said that, he got flustered immediately, started turning red, going off, hollering and screaming. Went right back to his factory settings, honey. Michael told him, you think you will humble yourself and lay low after you wrangled everybody to vote for Tiffany and was dead wrong and had one of the most devastating exits. Michael says pretty much that your instincts suck and you are a failed ringleader. He's not a failed ringleader. He's a really good ringleader because people actually follow behind him. He just sucks at actually choosing the right person. It's crazy. Like, I must really dislike Colton to be taking Michael's side right now. And I'm not even all the way on his side, but I'm just like, he's making the most sense. And that doesn't make... Gross. That disgusting. Ew. I don't like it. Immediately, Michael pops off. He calls Colton conniving, colluding, and commiserating. Rob, one of the funniest parts of this episode, Rob jumps in because Michael keeps saying commiserating over and over. And Rob is like, look, I just got to stop everything right now and let you know. Commiserating means feeling sad for someone. It means to feel sorry for someone. Like, you keep using it wrong. I'm sorry, it's just irritating me. He broke character because, Rob, you're supposed to be playing dumb. You're not supposed to know the definition of words. But nobody caught that. He argues that Colton isolated Tiffany and organized her banishment and is doing the same thing now alongside Ron. He feels like they're in cahoots.
Y'all, I'm so sorry. This video is so janky, but the last part of my video cut out. The sound cut out, and so now I have to refilm it. So Michael was going off on Colton and pretty much said that no one would be better at keeping a secret than Colton. And Colton flipped that on him and made it seem like he was referring to his sexuality and him being in the closet while going on a competition love reality show, competing for a woman, while knowing deep down inside that's how he felt. Okay. And y'all, this is a very sensitive subject, and I understand why everyone got so upset in that room. There were a lot of gay men in that room that felt very offended by what Michael said and thought the worst of what Michael said. I don't know how Michael meant it. He claimed that he didn't. He apologized. But I don't know, y'all. From what I know about Colton, what I have found out, because I didn't know any of this before the show, but I've been seeing online that Colton knew that he was gay before he went on The Bachelor. He still went on there, still got in a relationship with a woman. It was a very tumultuous relationship, and he ended up stalking this woman afterwards. So apparently he's come on this show as a rebrand, and he took this moment with Michael, putting his foot in his mouth, regardless of whether you thought he meant to or not. He took that as a moment and used that against Michael in order to get him out of the house. I truly believe that. I knew it was something about him that felt disingenuous, that felt like he was trying to be the Nick Efron. He was trying to be the Bachelor from a couple of seasons ago that went after the traitors. It feels like he's looking for camera time. And I feel like he just used what Michael said to his advantage to get him out of the house. So at some point after that confrontation, Ron points the finger at Dorinda, and he says that he feels like her and Michael are traitors and that she's using Michael as her pit bull. She flips it on him and says, well, I think you're a housewife hunter, because he is the one, once again, they can't let it go, that he was the reason why Portia went home, even though we have Colton sitting right here. Pretty much got 2 faithfuls sent home in a row, but he's not getting half as much heat as Ron is getting. But he clearly has some animosity built up. When I first watched him go off on Dorinda, because Dorinda was like, I was trying to get to know you. I was trying to ask about your family. He was like, I don't want to get to know you. I don't want my feelings to be invested. You don't need to know anything about my effing family. Like, he was really snapping on her, like he really had some animosity against her. And when I first watched it, I was like, I couldn't believe he was snapping on her like that. Why are you going off on this old lady like this? But then I had to take a step back and look at it for what it was. All of these black people are getting sent home in a row, right? Even though he was kind of involved with Portia's, this is obviously happening, right? On top of that, he's been outcast pretty much since day one because of that Portia thing. And people have not wanted to talk to him, and they're kind of like reverse engineering it, saying, oh, he's being to himself, but that's because y'all are treating him like that as well. And why would he think you were sincerely trying to get to know him when y'all have been treating him badly this entire time? Now, has it been Dorinda specifically? Did she deserve to get that backlash? Possibly not. Do I think he has bad reads on the game and he's not good at picking traitors? Of course. He's terrible at it. But I do feel like he was coming from a place of being outcasted and feeling bullied, and he kind of lashed out on Dorinda. But I feel like that's how he's feeling for the whole table, because even on the last episode, he was saying, look, either exonerate me or send me home. But either way, like, I'm tired of having to constantly hear the same thing over and over. So by the end of this roundtable, everybody is backing behind Colton. Colton is saying that he's offended by what Michael said. Everybody already doesn't like Michael, so it's really not hard to wrangle people to get votes against him. I think half the people don't even really believe he's a traitor. They just want him out because he's so distracting and loud and causes so much chaos. And they're trying to get down to the nitty gritty and find out who the traitors are, and you're in the way. You know, obviously he got most of the votes. He gets up to the front. I'm the most handsome faithful, the most smart faithful, the most this faithful, the most that faithful. And he tries to have like a drop the mic moment, but nobody cares. Nobody even is like, congratulations, I'm so happy he left. Everybody is just like, bye. I mean, they barely even give him a reaction at all. Michael is not even a villain you love to hate. He's more annoying than anything else. He doesn't have any good reads. He's just a very he's like pots and pans banging together. Loud for no reason. Absolutely. It was time for him to go. Even as a viewer, he was distracting. After that round table, Colton pretty much initiated 2 faithfuls to go home in a row. He feels like he has this huge target on his back, which I really honestly don't think so. No one is really looking at him except for Kristen. Was someone else looking at him? He really was getting off scot-free with all this. Mind you, Ron has to wear a scarlet letter. He feels the heat on his back, so he's trying to point the target at someone else. And he actually is hitting it right on the nose with this one, okay? He's sitting with Dorinda, Jam Jam, and Rob. So he asked Dorinda, because she's someone who knew Lisa before coming here, is Lisa normally this quiet? And she says no, she's, you know, that's kind of out of character for her. And they're right. If Lisa was actually a faithful, she wouldn't have stopped running her mouth, okay? She would have been gunning at everyone from day one, and you wouldn't be able to stop her, okay? She would definitely be very loud and pointing the finger. That's something she did on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills unprovoked all the time. Colton says that her voting for Portia is a red flag, and he said that she wears sunglasses around everybody a lot. I thought that was a good thing to point out because I didn't realize that, and really that shouldn't be allowed. Because a lot of the ways that you're trying to catch people is through the eyes shifting. And you know what I'm saying? That's a huge part of it is looking in people's eyes. So Jam Jam, he's sitting there hearing all of this, and he wants to defend Lisa. And he says, well, she did give us the most details on, you know, that little kidnapping thing that they went through. And Colton was like, that's even more so of a reason for us to think that she was a traitor, because she would know she was the one doing the killing. Rob was looking real nervous. I don't know how nobody was catching that over there. Rob was looking real nervous. He tried to defend her a little bit. He was like, yeah, I don't know her personality that well, da-da-da. And he was like, I'm going to try to do what I can to help Lisa. But at the end of the day, I can only do so much. Okay, so that lets me know if he had to, he would throw Lisa under the bus. I think Rob is very selfish, by the way. If you've never seen Love Island, in any of the matches that he had with the women on that island, he was all about self. He's going to move in a way that he doesn't care if he hurts your feelings. It's about what he wants, and what he wants is what matters, okay? So I don't think he would hesitate to throw either Candace or Lisa under the bus, but I feel like he would team up with Lisa first to throw Candace under the bus. But if Lisa is the one being rolled over, he will simply move out of the way and allow that to happen. But he did tell her at their traitor meetup that night, Colton was coming for her. They were already concerned about who they were going to murder that night, because it's still up for debate whether or not anyone took a shield. So that's something to, keep in the back of your mind. Like, I wonder if they do try to kill someone and they have a shield, how that would work. Would the person themselves be alerted of it? I feel like something like that happened a couple seasons ago, and they were given a letter and told that they were almost murdered, but because you have a shield, you were saved. So I'm like trying to think of what's going to happen with that. But yeah, he's let Lisa know, Colton's coming for you, girl. You in danger. You in danger, Molly. So they're all in agreement that Colton has to go. And hopefully he doesn't have a shield. I feel like he's somebody that would have snatched one up. But we'll see. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down below. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? What do you think about that whole round table situation? And I would love to hear your opinion. And I hope to see you in my next one. Peace.